Hi everybody, Mike here again. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for joining me. So this is my wrap up for the month of June 2018. Quite a successful reading month. Really enjoyed the books I've read this month, and if you've been watching my reading vlog, which I will link below, you already know what I've been reading, but let's wrap up this month as briefly as I can. So, the first book I read this month was The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick-Ness. This is book 1 in the Chaos Walking trilogy, and if you haven't read this, please go out and buy it. It's so good. I have the 10th anniversary editions, beautiful black sprayed edge. This book is about a boy called Todd, and he lives on the New World, and basically what is happening in the New World is a bit strange, a bit sci-fi and quite dark, but a gripping read. Basically, Todd was born on the New World, and the New World is a brand new planet where a bunch of Earth settlers have gone to escape our world, because I get that it's sort of the pollution has gotten too much and just sort of life was ending on our planet. So they have left our world and gone to New World. And the first settlers on New World were a religious settlement. So they've gone there, they've tried to make a simpler, cleaner existence for themselves, but everything has sort of gone wrong. When they get there, the men are sort of, how can I explain it? There's something exists on this planet which makes the men's thoughts be able to be heard by everyone. Not the women's, the men's. And this is interesting. So women's thoughts are protected and men's thoughts are broadcast. And it makes for a very interesting society, and life doesn't go according to plan. There is an indigenous species called the spackle, there is a war, there is, it all gets a bit dark and fab, though. Really good read. The book centers around Todd, who lives in Prentice Town, and he is thrown into this sort of chase in this book. He is chased across the world because he discovers something that he shouldn't have, and he has to run away from his town and his life and his family to protect it. And the thing that he discovers is a girl called Viola. So they have to run, and he thought that women and girls were extinct. He thought that they were wiped out by a virus, but the leaders of his town were lying to him, and he has to escape the evil mayor of Prentice Town, and it is an epic run away novel. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't want to spoil it too much for you. I will link below my reading vlogs because I did talk about it in length in them, but this is one of my favorite books of this year so far. I love the writing style. I love that you're in Todd's head, and the words are spelt how he pronounces them, not how they're actually spelt in English. I love that. I love the noise. Let me show you the noise. So that's what the noise looks like when you can hear people's thoughts. It's just madness. I don't know how the men in this world survive hearing everybody else, all the other men's thoughts all the time. And it's just a fascinating book, and it's epic, and it's a big adventure. It deals with some really dark themes, and Todd is a fantastic character. He's different to all other men because he won't kill. That's a hero to me. That was the first book I read, and then I ordered the other 2 in the series, and I wanted to read them all in one go. That was my plan at the beginning of the month, but the delivery of the books took a little while, so in the meantime I did order another Patrick-Ness book and got it and read it. This is Release. Now this is about a boy called Adam, and Adam is gay, and he isn't out to his family. His family are very religious. He's told his best friend, and they have a fantastic relationship. It's a great relationship in the book, and it's all set on one day in his life, and his life is going to change on this day because so much is happening in his life. His best friend's moving away, his brother has got a girl pregnant, and they're a very religious family. His father is like the town vicar, one of the town vicar's priests. So this is a bit of drama happening in Todd's life, and he's trying to hide his sexualities from his parents and his family, and this is the day where basically it all comes out. essentially. It's quite an interesting novel, and it's very, if you like Love, Simon, you'll really enjoy the coming out story in this and the gay teenage vibe. Small town America. It's really, really well written, and I actually really like Adam, and I really like what Patrick-Ness did with that. The book is a book of two halves though, because what else is happening in this book is there's a ghost. Okay, let me just break this down for you as simply as I can. A girl is murdered, and her ghost latches on to the spirit of like an evil queen spirit that lives in a lake, and they rise up into the world, and these two women are conjoined together, and the spirits walk through the town, causing havoc and destruction as they go. It is an interesting story because this girl is trying to avenge her death and get some justice for her murder, and so that plot's happening whilst this plot is happening, and it takes until the very, 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 very end for these stories to come together. And this isn't a criticism, because I enjoyed the ghost story bit, although it took a really, really long time for me to kind of grasp what was happening, because there were two spirits, two women speaking at the same time from the same body, but there were two different people. So that's interesting. It was an interesting story. I really liked it. And I really liked the Adam story and the kind of domestic sort of coming out in America, difficult teenage times. I did quite enjoy that. I like that kind of thing. I didn't love that these two stories were happening at the same time in the same book without any relevance to each other until right at the end. I didn't really get that. I didn't get it. I enjoyed reading them both separately, and in a way you don't need to read the ghost story bit in this. It's differentiated because you've got, like, it's really simple, but Adam's bits are in normal typeface, and then the spirit's bits are in italics. You can't see that, it's too bright, I'm sorry, but it's in italics. So you could skip the whole passages with italics and just read Adam's bit if you wanted to, and then you could go back and read the other bits. They do come together at the end, so you do find out why, and it was satisfying. It was, but my only kind of concern was that they didn't merge well enough for me. It wasn't like sort of an episode of Buffy or something where the spirit or the monster was a metaphor for something else that was happening, and then they had to work together. But this is oil and water stuff. This is very separate. But I really, really enjoyed it. This is me splitting hairs now. I'm just describing to you my experience of reading the book, and they were very, very separate stories, but equally as interesting, just odd together. But a good book, really, really good book. Quite graphic in some parts, I'm not gonna lie, the gay stuff. Quite graphic, but not in a bad way, just there, you know, like it should be, not hidden behind closed doors, all out. So yeah, really, really good though. Continuing my Patrick-Ness love, and then I went on, I did read a short story as well in between. I read the New World short story. I'll link below what I thought about that. It's the part of the Chaos Walking trilogy. It's Viola's perspective before she lands on the planet. It was interesting, quite nice, and actually quite a nice warm-up into this book, which is the Ask and the Answer part 2 of the Chaos Walking trilogy. In this book we have two perspectives now. We have Todd's perspective and we have Viola's perspective. It's in first person, we're in their heads. Fascinating. They are separated, because that's how good drama's made, isn't it? Separate the love interests, the heroes. They are wildly apart, going through very different stories, both with questionable adults above them, one mayor, one mistress, and they are both fighting a war, and they're both kind of they find themselves on different sides of that war, and it's really brilliant how you see Mistress Coyle describing to Viola the evil things that the mayor is doing, and it's really interesting to see the mayor describe to Todd the evil things the mistress is doing, and it's such a grown-up book. This is such an adult book for a young adult novel. We are still on the New World. The end of the first book there's a big cliffhanger, and Viola is wounded, and this book takes up directly from there, and rather than being chased across the world by their enemy, they're now both living with their enemy, and that is fascinating. Such a good story, and it just, everything spirals out of control. There's terrorist attacks, bombs start going off, and you don't know who to trust, and that's what I loved most about this book. It's fascinating. I know that I've decided that I am on Todd and Viola's side. I'm not taking sides in the war. And throughout this book, I have to say that Mayor Prentice is a fascinating villain, a really, really interesting chap, and twisted, and he does some horrific things in this. Not happy about. Genuinely, there are some deaths in this book that I'm just really, really gutted about and not happy about. And that just means it's written so good, doesn't it? That just means it's been written so well that I feel so strongly about the deaths. And the cliffhanger in this book is very, very large too. Very, very big. I am surprised that I'm able to not jump into Monsters of Men straight away, but I'm not going to. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to give myself a little bit of anticipation. I'm going to read a couple of books and I'm going to come back to it in a month's time, and I'm going to really, really enjoy myself getting there. But no, this book, I don't know whether I enjoyed it more than the first one. It's just so different, you know. It's so different because not only have you got two perspectives now, but it's just not as clear cut as running away from your enemy in the first book. The second book, you're living with the enemy, and that was brilliant. That's brilliant, isn't it? So grown up. So yeah, that was the end of that, and I just highly recommend those books. All three of those books that I read this month, I would push on anyone. I would put them in their hands and ask them to read them, because they are really, really entertaining, informative, and just good writing, and that's what we want. So yeah, that's what I read in June. We are on July the 1st today, and I know what I'm reading next. I'm reading a couple of books before I come back to Monsters of Men, as I said earlier, and I'm looking forward to reading them already. I'm going to read the short story next, though, that's set in between. Well, I don't know if it's set in between, but it's the second short story in the series of 3 short stories that go alongside the Chaos Walking trilogy. I'm going to read the second one this evening, and then tomorrow I'm going to start a new book for July. So really, really happy with my month of reading this month. I know it perhaps not many books, but really, really good ones, and ones I would highly recommend to all. So what have you guys been reading? Hope it was successful, and if you've read any of those books, what did you think? If you haven't, go get them and read them. Trust me, you will not be disappointed, and I will speak to you guys very soon. Okay, bye.